Hello, my friends. My name is Elena, but my students at the Academy call me Miss McBride. And today we're going to be talking about how to find landmark notes on the grand staff. Now, we have to go over a few things before we get into the meat of what this, I guess, lesson is. First of all, what the heck is a grand staff? What are the landmark notes, etc., etc.? I think most of the time when we look at music or we think of music, we think of something that looks like this, except a lot better because my penmanship is horrible. But actually, most methods or many methods of piano learning, I guess, start with something called pre-staff notation. So you have the notes and the rhythms and stuff, but they don't have any lines or spaces. But there's a point towards usually the end of like a primer level book where you start introducing lines and spaces, or in the case of Music Tree, they do a whole other style. We're not going to get into that. We're not talking about that today. Now, we call these lines and spaces, or actually the collection, hold on. We call this collection of lines and spaces a staff. So a staff has 5 lines and 4 spaces. See, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. Isn't that beautiful? I know, I'm an artist. If you need to add more lines that are outside of the staff, we call those ledger lines, but you don't really need to know that right now. Now, when we are looking at a staff for piano, because like string instruments, totally different thing, not gonna get into that, not qualified. But when we're looking at piano, we're starting to learn how to read music in a new way. And we use different kinds of clefs, which I'm drawing right now. That was horrible. Wait a second. Now look. I don't want to hear it. Actually, this is embarrassing. Give me a second. This may not look any better, but this is the best I've got. So, we have the treble clef and we have the bass clef. Now, before we even learn how to read this, we learn about 3 landmark notes. The landmark notes are treble G, middle C, and bass F. So we learn how to play them on the piano first, and then we start to learn how to find them here. And I'm about to give you the little trick that I teach my students. Okay, I have to move them over a little bit, and I added a ledger line. That's going to be important. And now I'm going to do something that's totally revolutionary. No one's ever done it before. We're going to write some numbers on the lines. Now, as you can see, I'm not doing like 1 through 5 and 1 through 5. We're starting with 1, and then we're working our way out, okay? This is important because when we're finding our landmark notes, we can know for sure where they are because 2 of them are on the line 2s of each clef. Isn't that crazy? Another little trick you can use is when you see the treble clef, you can find treble G by what the circle is circling. Yeah, that was a really great explanation. And then here, the bass clef, the 2 dots are around bass F. Let me show you what it looks like with all the landmark notes notated on our little staff here. Or this is our grand staff when you have both of these together. Usually there's a brace around them, giving both of them a big hug. Okay, I know this is like really artistically complex, but this is what it all this is what it all looks like on the grand staff. Now we're gonna go over some exercises, and I want you to tell me which one you see. Do you see bass F? Do you see treble G? Or do you see middle C? Okay, let's get started. Okay, which one? Why am I yelling? I don't know. Here are some ways that you can figure out what note this is. First of all, what clef are we in? Are we in treble clef or are we in bass clef? Because if we're in treble clef and this is not in the middle, then the only answer is treble G. But if it's in the bass clef and we have something in between like the lines and the spaces, then it has to be bass F because treble G cannot be in the bass clef. It has to be in the treble clef. You get what I'm saying? The other step, like I said, if it's in the treble staff, then you can look at whatever the circle is circling, and that's going to be treble G. Or you can look at our little numbers here, and it's going to be number 2. All right, do you have your guess? What is it? Yes, it's treble G. Good job. Okay, next, what is this one? It's not on bass staff or treble, no, bass staff or treble staff. It's in the middle and has its own line. So we know reasonably that has to be middle C because it's in the middle and it has its own line, middle C. Get it? Okay, I'm not going to yap. You're going to tell me what it is. What do you think? Yes, it's bass F. You got it. Okay, hopefully this helps. If you need to reference this, I don't know. I hope it helps.